Hey everyone, this is a video response to Jimmy Burt Gaming, who has tagged me in what appears to be some kind of chain YouTube game. We're answering a given set of questions about our gaming interests and what have you. As per the rules, I need to tag someone else to keep the game going. I am going to choose a Twitch streamer that I met a few months back called Bahamut87. I know he's more based around Twitch, so if he doesn't want to do it, it's totally cool. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description regardless. Okay, so the first question is, what are the main aspects of a game that make gameplay enjoyable? Alright, good question. I think I'm going to keep this pretty simple by saying when a game has good, responsive, fluid and natural controls, it makes the game very enjoyable. When a game's control layout is done in a way that feels instinctive, and my character is reacting in a way that I expect them to, it makes for a good experience. In a driving game, you expect the cars to handle a certain way, just as much as you expect the character to move a certain way. A good example of this is perhaps Joel from The Last of Us. He is a stocky, well-built guy who moves like you would expect him to. In contrast, when you get to control Ellie, you actually notice a difference between them. She is more nimble and moves faster because she is a lot smaller. It adds to the overall experience when the controls to a game are just nailed down perfectly. Second of all, main annoyances I encounter in games. This question could be split into several categories, but I don't want to bore everyone by listening to me waffle on and on. I could get into the annoyances I encounter in modern gaming, what with day one DLC, microtransactions, games that are released as a broken mess, etc, etc. Obviously, these are things that everybody and their granny would agree with. But if we're discussing more minor and completely subjective gripes, then I'd probably go along a different path and say an over-the-top amount of cutscenes. The Witcher 3, for example, has a ridiculous amount of cutscenes, which made it a bit difficult for me to enjoy. The cutscenes in this game are so constant, it breaks my immersion with the game when I feel like I'm spending too much time watching and not enough time playing. You end up thinking you might as well be watching a TV show. Next, do I see games as a waste of time? Okay. Short answer, yes. Long answer, no. When you regard gaming as a hobby, then it's just as time-wasting as any other hobby, whether it be golf, collecting stamps, train spotting, or birdwatching. A lot of our time here on Earth is wasting time, as when you start to wonder what is the actual meaning of life, then there's so much that can fit into that category that you're just spending your own life doing meaningless, repetitive tasks. But if you're looking at it more positively and you're thinking, how can I spend my time doing things that I love and make me feel good? And quite simply, if playing games makes you feel good, then it's not a waste of time. If you find comfort and belonging with games, which I think millions of people do, then that counts for something. It can be used as an antidepressant, a coping strategy, and something to escape to. Or, it can just be a lot of fun and an unbeatable way to relax after a stressful day at work or at school. So no, I don't think it's a waste of time. Not at all. What are my favourite games of all time? Wow. There's so many, honestly. In no particular order, I love Final Fantasy VII, The Last of Us, Half-Life 2, Dark Souls, Monkey Island, Tomb Raider, Sonic the Hedgehog, Grand Theft Auto, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Crash Bandicoot, Resident Evil 4, Jedi Knight, the Blackwell series, Doom, There's been a lot. I've probably missed loads, no doubt, but I will always look back on these games I've mentioned very fondly. Next is games that I feel were underappreciated. So, right off the bat, I'll say Watch Dogs. I think this game gets an unfortunate amount of negativity. I totally understand that Ubisoft messed up when they showcased graphics that were never delivered and had a questionable port to the PC, but underneath all of that was a decent game that I actually had a lot of fun with. It was a brand new IP that was bold with what you could do. Hacking into phones and security systems was really cool, and I never felt bored. I'm hopeful for Watch Dogs 2. The gameplay for that game looks great. If they improve upon the car handling and the storyline, then it'll be a top game for sure. GTA 4 actually is another underappreciated game. Again, I can understand people's reasons. They thought it was a huge step back from San Andreas, and whilst that's correct, I think you have to bear in mind that it was on a new console and it was pushing for better graphics. They wanted to create a more gritty experience in a grungy New York, and I absolutely think they got it spot on. GTA 4's driving physics are also really well done, as I found in that game that you actually have to think about what kind of car you're driving and brake well in advance of turning a corner. I think being a good driver in GTA 4 took a bit of practice, and so it was pretty rewarding in the end. Next is my favourite video game soundtracks. Right, I love a lot of music from games, which I'll play a little bit of each track and hope I don't get a copyright strike. I love Command & Conquer's soundtrack. It definitely sets the mood as you're building your powerful base, with a ridiculously huge army of tanks and soldiers ready to strike on some poor, unsuspecting base. Final Fantasy VII's soundtrack is a masterpiece, truly. I've been to see Distant Worlds perform live, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. When you consider the beautiful and haunting melodies of the various towns that you reach and the epic showdown music you have with Sephiroth, it is simply one of the best game soundtracks ever. Wolfchild from the Atari ST is just sublime. A lot of the early kind of 8-bit style type of soundtracks have always been highly enjoyed by myself. It reminds you of a simpler time in gaming. Sonic the Hedgehog had some phenomenal tunes, one of my favourites being Starlight Zone. For those that know and love Sonic, how does that not bring a smile to your face? The Last of Us has a brilliant soundtrack and fits the game so perfectly with its tone and its mood. The original GTA also has one of the best themes ever. It's so kick-ass and it knows it's so kick-ass. It's brilliant. Doom, of course, has a perfectly fitting soundtrack. The music it gives you as you shoot, strafe and blast your way through each stage is down to a T. Have to mention the recent 2016 Doom soundtrack as well, which hits the nail on the head to recapture the Doom magic. There's honestly so much music from games that I love, it'd be hard to honour them all. And lastly is, what games have I finished this year? Well, I'll try to remember them all. I've completed Shardlight, a nice little point-and-click adventure from Wadget Eye, if you don't know. Others include Dark Souls 3, Doom 2016, Uncharted 4, Mad Max, Dying Light's DLC, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Ratchet and Clank, Mass Effect 2, Fallout 4, Layers of Fear, Party Hard, Undertale, which by the way also has a fantastic soundtrack, should have mentioned that, Her Story and Life is Strange. I think I've mentioned them all, probably missed out a few, but there you go. So, alright, that was it. Thanks for tagging me, Jimmy. This was a lot of fun. Bahamut87, it's over to you now, if you want to. There's no pressure. I know you're more of a Twitch person. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my answers, and I'll see you next time.